Whoa, Dad, go, Dad.
Hey y'all, Dave Mopper here. Welcome in. This pod is a compilation of lessons in fatherhood and leadership. I'm using it to explore the path to raising legends, and I'm sharing it all with you. Each episode provides a really raw and unique perspective on fatherhood, and it's what I've come to love about these conversations. There is something for every father who's in growth mode. All right, enjoy the combo. Man G, welcome to Whoa Dad, Go Dad.
Going on, Dave? How you doing, bro?
So good to be with you, man.
Likewise, man.
So good to be with
Likewise.
you. Jumping on. We were just yapping about where we could go, what we could cover, and there's just so much. But let's acknowledge a shared connection in the apogee realm, which
Sure.
has really brought us together. So many good dudes in that community. Tell
man.
me a little bit about your experience getting into apogee, and how it fits into your world.
Yeah, man. So Apogee came as sort of an answer to a prayer, bro. If I could put it like that, because I kind of started doing this whole YouTube thing, this business, pretty much like the Alpha Dad Consulting, talking about family leadership and all this stuff, and started a YouTube channel / podcast. Started throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to see what would stick, right? And as I kept doing it, what tends to happen when you start some of this stuff is that you want to bring in people that like your boys and the closest men that you have around you, maybe that you grew up with, and you start like, hey man, you want to join in on this? You want to get in on this? Like, you want to help? And nobody wanted to jump on board, man. Like, nobody wanted to help, and I just kind of felt alone in that space trying to figure things out. And lo and behold, I watch I see that there's this event coming up, and I'm in kind of this dad space, so the masculinity men's space and all that. And I see this event coming up called I think it's called Man Uncaged. Okay. And it has all these guest speakers, these guys that you may or may not know. If you're watching this, listening to this podcast, you might know like Bedros Keuilian, John Lovell, right? Ryan Mickler. So all these guys that I was following. And then all of a sudden there's this one bearded dude that comes on that stage, gray bearded dude, talking about family leadership and education and what it means to be a good family leader, like just home education versus public school, like all these different things that were just really resonating with me. And that man's name is Matt Beaudreau, who you know. And that was my first experience ever listening to him speak, man. And when I saw that, I was like, dang, I gotta get with what this dude's doing. And I remember telling my wife that day, dude, after I saw him, I went and I told my wife, I'm like, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm going to figure out a way to meet this man and work with him in some capacity. Like I want to meet him. I want to bring him on the podcast, and I want to, and I just started following him on Instagram. And that same year, he launched Apogee Strong. At the time, it was called Apogee Strong Dads. I think it's Apogee Man now. But it was the first kind of class of men that walked in this completely new, as a 12-month program, as you're aware, very intensive. It's not for the faint of heart if you're thinking about it. There's a lot of challenges in it, but it grew me in ways that I could never imagine, man. And as I went through it, I met Matt, and like he's been on the podcast on my side a couple times already. We've had some really cool episodes, and he's a brother, bro. Like, I was just at his house just like in September, visiting him and his family and my family, and we were breaking bread together, and we've known each other for quite some time now, and it's been awesome. But like, he's like the icing on the cake. Like, the fact that I've gotten to meet men like yourself, Dan Smith, who you just had, like all these, David Smith, his brother, man, like guys like Ramel, and man, there's so many, David Wells. There's so many I could name that are just amazing, just men, bro. And now I have like a plethora of men that I can call and be like, hey, I need some help with this, or I need, or just pour into them, or have them pour into me, and it's so different, man, when you have a brotherhood of good men, good solid men in your corner. You can accomplish a lot in this life, for sure. Yeah.
unstoppable if we really
Yes,
want to
sir.
be. Dang, dude. I mean, and just I've been in Apogee for a year and 3 months, 2.5 months as
Okay.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
right. So and to see the iterations of it, I'm sure it was effective and lucrative back then, but they're just being really intentional and it's inviting. It's like a magnet for intentional dudes who might not
Yeah.
be, you could be a mess, but still intentional in your desires, and it's going to help you sculpt and craft and kind of hone things. And I think the larger spirit of Apogee, just raising sovereign human beings
Yes, sir.
and being
Yeah.
being sovereign individuals ourselves, and then raising sovereign individuals as our duty as parents. Like that spoke to me before I even knew there was a men's group.
Mm.
I was in the process, of kind of wrapping my head around becoming a dad. The world's a little weird, like looking for different resources. And a couple guys you mentioned, like maybe Ryan Mickler or Bedros, like those guys caught my attention. And then there's Apogee and Matt. I'm like, man, I don't even know. I haven't really thought about education yet for my kid, but I can see the need to sort through that and weigh
Yeah.
different things and some of the complications and implications of going this route, or opportunities, benefits going this route. So,
Of course. Yeah.
man, so anyone listening in, and maybe hopefully people are watching, but you got G here smiling, cool, calm, collected, being really intentional. You've grown, in addition to having say a full-time job, you've grown alpha dad
Mm.
as an endeavor. You're that committed to this role of father, husband, family leader.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
But what the reality is, maybe it wasn't always this way, right? And I know you
Yeah.
told me enough that I know that it wasn't always this way.
No.
But here you are, and in fact, what I want to get us to eventually is how the man you have become, the man that you have chosen to become,
Mm.
has now tapped into this creative spirit, which always existed within you, but now you're able to seize it and harness it and have people around you embrace it differently than had you stayed on the existing path you were on. So take us back a bit to the early days as a
Sure.
young man sorting through uh, a marriage to your lovely bride. You just said you hit 15 years recently, so
Yeah,
congrats.
man.
A
Thank you.
decade and a half. That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then
It's crazy, man.
you have a whole flock of kiddos, so that's going to be part of the mix too. But
Yeah.
like early marriage, we all think, well, we just got married. It's going to be perfect and blissful and easy. But goodness gracious, man, is that always the case? So take us
Yeah.
back and give me a couple key milestones along the way that helped
Yeah, man.
really inform the man that G has become 15 years later. But early on, you might not have known that they were going to be so critical, but they were nevertheless, in hindsight, like these key experiences, conversations, challenges, and so forth. So, who was G
Sure.
15 years ago?
A man that was extremely lost, man. But what's crazy is that even though I was extremely lost, I thought I was found. I thought I had locked in. And this is I think the mistake of the trap that we all fall into, especially coming in as a newlywed. But no, man, I'll take you back to it was 2012. If you remember, like the Mayan calendar thing, everybody thought 2012 was going to be like the end of the world or something crazy.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was almost kind of the end of the world. You know what I mean? So I'm coming off uh, of a late night Call of Duty session. Okay, I'm getting off of my PS4 at the time, and I was playing with my boys till like 2:30 in the morning.
Not your kids, like your boys,
Not yeah, this is like
your homies.
coworkers,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
homies, right? Yeah.
yeah.
My wife we're about a year and a half, yeah, almost 2 years into the marriage. So 2:30 in the morning, she's already asleep. I go in and uh, give her a good night kiss on the forehead, and the nightstand next to her, she has her phone, and it vibrates. a message coming through at 2:30 in the morning. The heck, yeah. So I I grab as a curious husband, of course, I grab the phone, I unlock it, and there's this influx, man, of text messages of a huge thread of her and another guy. Like, sharing every endearing word that her and I have ever shared. Uh, right there in front of my face. You know. And I wake her up in a panic, and I'm like, I'm I'm pissed, and I'm also like lost. I don't know what to believe. I feel like this isn't real. And she's in shock that I'm of the discovery, me discovering everything, and we're going back and forth, and man, like yeah, nothing felt more broken in our marriage than that moment. You know. And as we kind of settled, and I inadvertently just asked her like, "Hey, is it me or him?" Right? Like, you want to make the choice and that kind of thing. And she said, it's of course it's you, but uh, we jump into marriage counseling after that. We decide that we're going to work things out, and things aren't still working out because now I don't trust her. So I'm tracking her phone. I'm tracking every phone call that comes through her phone. I'm tracking every text message. I'm looking at her phone. I'm looking at her email. I'm logging into her Facebook, her Instagram. I'm driving her crazy, driving myself freaking crazy. Just like it's insane, And now, before I kind of go a little further with the story, the thing with stuff like this when it happens, right? And this is where I want to be very intentional about how I share this story, because my wife have been, like you just mentioned, we've been married 15 years, and I'm more in love with that woman than ever before. Like, she's amazing. Okay. So I do not want you to cast judgment on her. Like, and I'm not talking to you, but like, the listener, if you're listening to this, man, like, don't cast judgment on her with this, because this stuff does not happen overnight. When things like this happen in a marriage, it is not something that just all of a sudden happened. You know what I mean? This is stuff that bottled up resentment and things that occurred. And this is what I had to face as a man, is that when we entered the marriage, I went in with an expectation of like, hey, I just beat the last level of the game. I got the girl. Like, I married her. Cool, man. Let's put this thing on cruise control. She ain't going nowhere. Like, she's my girl for the rest of like, till death do us part, the sickness and in health, and richer or poor. Like, we're good, like, she's mine. I'm good. And I put her on this pedestal, like a trophy wife, essentially. And said, I got my trophy wife, man. Like, I'm good. That's how I entered the marriage. So all the things that I was doing leading up to the marriage, like, pursuing her and all these things, like, I stopped. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't dating her anymore. I wasn't, I was becoming more of an overprotective dad than like a fun husband, that they want to be around, that, and she went into the marriage with the expectation of like, yo, like, man, everything was so nice, dating and all this stuff. Like, wow, he's going to be even more intentional. He's going to be like husband 2.0, right? Like, he's going to be G 2.0 and all that. She thought she was going to get a better version. Nah, we both went in with that. And the worst thing about it, man, is we didn't talk about that. We went in with these false expectations and we never shared them with each other. Mm-hmm. Big issue, right? And over time that snowballed. And I'll take you back to a scene, man, that I'll never forget this, because it was one of the times that I made her feel the worst. Is I used to work for a retail store at Apple, retail Apple. And if you guys have ever been in an Apple store, you know how crazy busy it can get and all that. So I was in that 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, just like all that noise all the time. So by the end of the day, I didn't want to deal with people. I was kind of hard to be around because I was dealing with people all day, right? And I get home from a hard day, or from a long day, dealing with like my last customer that day was horrible. Okay. And that's the mindset I'm coming home with. And I walk in, man, and I just do the the regular old average Joe husband thing. Like I just walk in, kick off my shoes, sit in the recliner. My wife hasn't seen me all day. She's happy to see me. This is prior to anything that went down, right? Happy to see me. And she's talking to me. She's like telling me about her day. She's got dinner ready for me. She's like, man, blah, blah, blah. She's telling me about all this stuff. And dude, and I cut her off. I say, you know what, babe? Can you just be quiet right now? Like, I don't want to deal with anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody right now. Yeah, I just don't. I shut her up. I shut her up. My wife, dude. You know, the one person that I should be happy to listen to, the one person that is excited to see me. You know, I literally told her pretty much. I didn't say shut up, but I meant it. Like that's what I meant. Shut up. I don't want to talk to you right now. That's what she got. Dude, compound that over time. And this is where what I had to come to grips with is the reality that it doesn't excuse what she did and you know, it doesn't justify that, of course. But the root cause, if I'm being honest, taking ownership over my part of it had a lot to do with it.
It explains a lot.
Yeah, it explains a lot. And I had to come to grips with that, man. And so going back to us doing counseling, trying to work things out, it's just not working, man. I'm becoming more of a nightmare now because now I'm just so I'm even more insecure, you know, and I'm so frantic, and I'm even more of a worse partner to be, like, you know, a husband to be around. And so one day I get low, man. I get home and I'm literally looking for my 9mm Beretta because I can't, like, I don't, this feeling of like forgiving her, but not really forgiving her, you know, and not really knowing if I could trust her and like, it's just, and it was, and I made her the center of my universe, man. Like she was my world. So when this happened, my world fell apart. I have nothing. I have nothing else. You know, I had nothing else, no other purpose to call my own. I had made her my purpose. And that's why I felt so lost. And thankfully, our counselor, Pops, at the time, who I'll talk about in just a bit, he mentioned to us, like, he's like, hey, if you guys have a gun in the house, so like, just please get rid of it or put it somewhere else or give it to me or whatever, and I'll hide it. Thankfully, my wife listened to that because I couldn't find the gun that day, and I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do, right? And dude, I remember feeling so helpless, like I can't. My wife doesn't love me. You know, she told me she literally doesn't love me. She doesn't find me attractive. She loves me, but she's not in love with me. You know, like all those things, right? And hearing those things, experiencing that, like you feel like crap, dude. Like you feel like there's nothing left for you. And then here I am, I can't even find my gun. You know, I can't even do that right. You know, that's how I felt. And dude, I literally wept and cried in the living room of our little studio apartment. And she didn't know what to do, what to say. She just held me. She held me like I felt like I was being held like a child. Like that's how I felt. A grown man crying because he can't figure out his marriage. He can't figure out why he fell into this situation. And me thinking I'm this Christian man going to church every day, and you know, the facade of like, we got this, you know, we got this figured out. It was a lie, man. It's a lie. And that leads me into the I think it's the following day or that same week, man. I'm with my longtime mentor, Pops. He's like essentially like a father figure that I've grown up with, and he takes me out to lunch one day, and we're in the parking lot of this restaurant, and he's like, hey son, look, he has this heart-to-heart conversation with me, and it's the thing that changed the course of my life forever. I'll say it like that. He said to me, he's like, look, son, you're never going to be able to control what another person does. You're just not, including your wife. You're not going to control her. You're not going to control what she does, who she's with, all that stuff. She's not going to control it. So you spending all your time trying to control that and trying to, you know, like you're going to kill yourself doing that. He's like, the only thing that you can control, the only thing that you can work at getting really good at controlling is yourself. And if you get really good at controlling yourself and working on yourself, he said, the rest of the world has to respond to you. They have to respond to what you do, what you say, how you show up. That includes your wife. And that means she'll respond either negatively or she'll respond positively. But either way, if you do and you work on yourself, and let's say this marriage doesn't work out and she bounces, and that's her choice, but at least you become a better man. He's like, and if God blesses you with another wife, then you're a better man and you're in a better situation, and you understand the level of commitment and what you got to do and how you had to show up, right? But if she responds positively to your changes, said, dude, you're going to save your marriage, and this marriage is going to become stronger than you can ever imagine. That's what he said to me. And I believed him. And dude, that light bulb hit, light bulb hit in my mind, where I was like, all right, I'm going to work on myself. That led me down like personal development. And I started doing that. I started working on myself, reading, studying, changing my habits, changing my perception of things, becoming a more intentional husband, showing up for her. Some days were hard. I'm not going to say it was easy, but dude, the more and more I did it, one foot in front of the other, man, I want to say it probably took a good like 2 or 3 years, bro, from that point for us to get solid, But once we were solid, dude, oh my God, my God, it's like night and day.
And I wonder if
Yeah.
Pops gave you, he basically said you have to let go of trying to control everything, but he helped you realize the distinction between control and agency.
Yep.
Like you took full responsibility for yourself. And that takes a lot of work and energy and effort and a bunch of courage, and damn, dude. And I've been noodling on this thing you said where you considered your wife was your purpose or the center of your universe. Like in a way, yes, you felt that, but you didn't act that way.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair to say? Like, and
yeah,
you're like, I think of her that way, but am I really? Is that just is that just an interesting or a neat or a sexy idea?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
just
I
wonder
think you're.
if I was like, I want to say my wife and my kids are the center of my universe. Of course they are. How
Mm,
silly that, of course they are, G. But then I go, shoot, are my actions consistent with that sentiment? It's kind of a confronting thing,
yeah,
and life's decent in my world, but is it how I want it to be exactly or fully? I wouldn't say so. And the trick, from what I'm hearing from you and what Pops granted you, was this idea that if you take full agency of yourself, full personal responsibility, like a magnet, you will push away certain things and attract certain things.
yeah,
And then the laws of physics somehow step in, and the world works itself out for us. That's pretty cool. So I suppose, by the way, is Pops around? Pops in your world still?
yeah. He
Yeah.
was just here at the house this last year. He was here for Christmas, actually, playing Santa for the kids. It's funny. Yeah,
Oh, wait, dude.
yeah,
So
dude.
Pops is the ultimate guide for you on your hero's journey. If
Yes,
that's
sir. Yeah, he's
wow.
like he's much taller than Yoda, but he's definitely the Yoda. Yeah,
I'm sure you continued to confide in him, and
yeah,
you have even looped back and said, it was that conversation in the parking lot at those cross streets where, had that not happened, I don't know where I'd be, right? You've given him that.
oh yeah, plenty of times, man. And
Amazing.
he's still giving me gifts, man. Like him coming out here this last year, he came out here during the summer, and then he came out here again because I'm in Texas, he's in California. So we hadn't seen each other. I've been in Texas almost 5 years now, and we hadn't seen each other since last year. It had been about 4 years since we seen each other. And they decided, him and his wife came out to visit for the first time, and they had a blast. You know, they had a blast because they're like grandparents to the kids. You know, they treat the kids like grandparents, and they treat the kids there. That's grandpa. You know, like that's their grandpa. So, one of the gifts he gave me when he came is that he sat me down and he's like, "Hey, son, like I just want to tell you," he's like, "You know, when you walk into a home, he's like, and there's a certain energy in a home, you know, in somebody's home. Like you feel welcomed, you feel maybe a little unwelcomed. You feel like there's love, you feel like there's tension, you know, like you feel it when you walk into somebody's home." And he's like, "The only thing I've felt since walking into your home," he's like, "it's love, peace, and joy." And dude, that right there is like it's a gift that I take. And I'm like, man, that's confirmation for me, you know, that I'm on the right track with this family leadership thing, at least here, you know. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, man, but hearing that from my longtime mentor is a big, huge deal for me, for sure. Yeah.
Fair. Fair though, you could feel that you had come to that spot before he said it, right? You knew you were there, right?
You know what? I would say that I felt it, you know what I mean? But I've never, I think it's different when you get it confirmed. There's
Sure.
something about the man, whether it's your dad or father figure or mentor, there's something about that validation and confirmation that you get from them, man, that it's there's a lot of power in that. You know, there's a gravitas in that you don't, that you can't, that it doesn't come out of you. You know what I mean? Like I could say that I felt that, but him confirming it was like, all right, you know. And then it also puts the onus on you to maintain it, you know, and keep
Yeah,
making
right.
it better, right? Like, because then you're like, well, if it's not love, peace, and joy, because sometimes kids are tripping out, and you know, and life happens, right?
For
Like,
sure.
you got to get it back to status quo type of thing. So it also gives you that North Star. So
Tell me a little bit about the tussle you were in. Like, to have that revelation where he's basically, Pops has gone, listen, G, you can't control everything. You can only control oneself. Master that effort, maybe not master oneself, but master the effort of taking responsibility and trust the process beyond that. Like, I can appreciate, and I'm kind of doing the math here, you know, like you're probably mid 20s, right?
yeah,
And it's like
yep,
conceptually that hits for
yeah,
hopefully everybody. But you said it took 2 or 3 years. Like, what were those little, what did it take out of you? What were those moments, the inner critic, what did you have to overcome physically, mentally, spiritually in that limbo period? Because
yeah,
you're like, well, Pops, I believe what Pops said. I got to take agency. And you start taking some agency, and then you get kicked in the nuts or something throws you off or whatever. You're like,
yeah,
you know, that takes some resilience. That there was a moment prior to that where you were considering defeat, the ultimate defeat with the
yeah,
Beretta, bro. Holy
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So I suppose what were these little experiences that you had to kind of conquer or navigate to then get yourself to actually stable ground, so to
Yeah.
speak?
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude, it was nothing short of hard, bro. It was challenging because, you know, one, you have to put up with the criticism of those that are kind of closest to you, right? That kind of know about it. And there was a camp that was like, you guys should split up. Like, there's no salvaging this, you know. Like, you guys are done. Just call it quits, man. Get out, you know. So we were fighting that, you know, that because it's like closest confidants, closest people, you know, to us, telling us like, hey, maybe it's time, man. Like, maybe, you know, a lot of people get divorced, right? Like, why not? It just didn't work out. And it's just like, well, no, I'm not ready to walk away yet. You know, there was a commitment that was made on both of our parts, and there was a reason why these things happen, and I'm facing the consequences right now, and I got to get through it. I gotta get through it. You know, I got to see this through. So there's that, right? Like committing to that ideal. There was a lot of like beliefs that I needed to instill in her about me and my actual change, right? Because and this is something that a lot of guys will relate. How many times you tell your wife you're gonna do something or you're gonna become this different guy, and then all of a sudden you don't, you know? And she knows you better than anybody. Like you can't fool her. And up to this point, I was this guy that was not reliable. That was not, that was, and I'm over here saying that I'm good. I didn't even tell her, dude. I didn't tell her what changes I was gonna make. I just did it. I just did it. I just showed up differently. And then that's why I said it took 2 to 3 years, because I needed to keep consistently showing this new version to let her know that this is not like pretend. This is not a facade. This is like a real change, and I think and that was hard because it was going against the grain of like maybe what me emotionally wanted to do at the time. Right. And all that.
Yeah,
And then from
two and a half decades of patterns.
Yeah.
Like momentum of G patterns, it's
Yeah.
like you're all of a sudden you're trying to not put, stop it, but kind of divert it a different direction. Well, I mean, what
Yeah.
were some of the little things that you're like, if I just do this every single day, that'll be part of it. Were there little behaviors or sayings or it's like, what did it look like to truly transform yourself over those 2.5 years? What were some of those little behaviors that you're like, I'm not going to tell her, I'm just going to do it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, I mean, like from a practical standpoint, reading became a bigger thing. Like I started reading a lot more personal development style books, reading the Bible too, like Proverbs and certain things, like certain passages were really helping me during that time, kind of stay grounded.
Mhm.
And books not only on personal development, but I really jumped into a lot of the entrepreneurship style books. So I started learning a lot about finances and money and like all these things, like things that I was never exposed to, man. I get going back to like education and math, right? Like I school really made me hate reading, and it wasn't until I was in like my mid 20s or early 20s that I really figured out like, oh, hey, I don't have to read what the teacher told me to read. I can actually just go read a book that I'm interested in reading, like on the topic that I want. And that's how I kind of dove into that. Became a lot more physically active too at that time, right? Starting to do that kind of thing, getting into more martial arts stuff as well. And that helped. Dialing back on the video game stuff, like like staying late at night playing video games, that wasn't a thing anymore for me. And again, I didn't tell her I was going to stop doing it. I just stopped. Where I was spending a lot more time with coworkers and all that, like online playing Call of Duty or playing like games like Destiny and all this stuff, and like you know, um, I don't know, man, like making this whole club of this stuff, like I remember playing like Grand Theft Auto with a group of guys, and it's just like we had a group, like it's so dumb, bro. Like when I think about it now, it's dumb, right? But and I'm not knocking you if you're playing. Well, maybe I am knocking you a little bit if you're playing. And again, I'm not knocking video games in general because I
It's
will
more,
still play like
yeah,
one
like the
occasion,
priorities
but it
were
was the priority,
involved.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was an addiction, man. It was an escapism for me, and that's where I needed to change that, right?
Mhm.
So that was that, and just being more intentional with her, like flowers, going on dates, going to different places we've never been before, like exploring and telling her like, hey, like let's go out, let's go. We didn't have kids at the time either, too, so we had a lot more freedom in terms of like we could just go and go out if it's a Monday night, like we can go out, like there's no babysitter needed or anything like that.
Those are the
And
days.
yeah, yeah, I know, right? So yeah, we just kind of, I just kind of dove in and sort of reset the clock a little bit on the marriage and started doing kind of the newlywed things, man. Like even and I'm not to get too detailed or anything, but like intimacy, even that was like way better too. Like was some of the things that we started becoming more intentional, more intimate, more communicative about what we liked and what we didn't like. Like we didn't even talk about those things, and that I think in a marriage, man, like it's healthy. Like you need to have that intimacy, you need to have that connection. Um, and so learning that about each other and improving that aspect of our life, and dude, like it was all these little things kind of chipping away at it, man, and as I learned something new about, how I could show up as a husband a little bit differently, like I would implement, I would try it. I would see, all right, cool, let me do this, let me do that, and wait for the response, right? Like I wanted to see, how does she respond to this? Does she buy it? Does she not? She does. Okay, cool. She likes it. Cool. All right, let's do more of this. She didn't like that as much. Let's do less of this, right? Like, so you're playing that game, and as she's responding, she like, dude, we fell in love with each other again, because we were both out of love at that point. Like we both were like, at a certain point, we were like one court trip away from a divorce. Like, we were ready to call it quits, but God, man, there's something in us that was like, no, not yet, guys. Like, there's still more to this, and dude, and that set the foundation for everything else. Like that, those moments and those hard things is the reason why I'm literally able to be here with you and have this conversation, which is crazy, to think about that and it usually turns out that way, that from some extreme hardship or some hard trial that you go through in life, it ends up being a pivotal moment. If you, I want to say, I probably caveat that with, if you tackle it the right way, right? Like, because a lot of people hit rock bottom or hit trials and tribulations like that, and they don't come back from it, man. And so I'm grateful to God, grateful to Pops, grateful to to my wife, and for us to stick it out through the hard times. And now, man, like it makes us appreciate our marriage so much more too. Like it gives us a sense of appreciation that is beyond belief, man. Like it's awesome. So
Amazing. It's almost not that you want people to go through, bad stuff, but you kind of want them to go through bad stuff and get through the other end, so they can see who they really, see that they have everything they need. And that's why I wonder, coddling our children is not the way to raise our kids. Like we gotta guide them through hardship.
gotta be
not
challenged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And within certain safety parameters. But I want my little dude going through like the gauntlet and knowing that, oh, I can get through the gauntlet. Damn,
Yeah. Yeah.
man. Well, thanks for confiding in the listeners and entrusting me with all the, all that backstory, because it's like, man, you definitely had a circumstance that, as you said, could have unfolded a completely different way. And,
Yeah.
who knows what that, I'm sure it still would have been fruitful in some way, or it would have worked. I don't know. It's hard to know. It doesn't matter. Now you've got a 15-year marriage, 4 kids, a business, a community, and a forte, you might say, which is what we're what strikes me about your style these days, your musical inclinations. So just thinking about the journey after you kind of get things calibrated with your wife, who or how did you think about fatherhood and being a husband, say, once things seemed to settle out and you had a strong foundation? And you weren't a dad yet at that point, right? So you're
No.
like, okay, all right, we got this thing. It'd be amazing to be a dad with this woman, and this woman and I are like, we're together now. We're coupled, like, with great fortitude. Is that how it was? You're like, okay, perfect. Now I just want to be a dad no matter what. What was your experience when you thought of fatherhood in those, not when you were trying to get through the weeds, but once you got out of them? What was your
Yeah.
mindset?
Yeah, man. So yeah, with respect to like the husband and the husband role and the father role, and how my perception of that and all that, and how that was changing and evolving. Um, I came to the realization that it boiled down to my lack of leadership, right? Like I was not leading my wife in our marriage. I was, given that it was just me and my wife, it was still a family, right? Like it was my wife and I, like we're still a family. And I was not doing a good job of leading, which is why she didn't want to follow. Like if nobody wants to follow a bad leader, right? And I needed to learn kind of what a leader is, what a leader does. How, like, I was confusing the two words of, I was confusing boss with leader.
Mm.
Boss, really good at telling people what to do and demanding things, and and we've all maybe in jobs or careers like we've experienced bosses, right? But a leader inspires, guides, influences, right? And helps the people around them that are the followers achieve their goals. Like help them achieve their goals. Not necessarily yours, but help them. Like help them become the best. There's one thing profound that Matt Boudreau said on the podcast when I had him on. He said that as a leader, your job is sort of like to create the environment. You're just creating the environment of, like your kids, your wife, like they're the seeds that are being planted in this garden, and they're gonna grow. They're gonna do their thing, man. Your job is just kind of prep the garden, make sure that it's good, that it has the soil, that it has the sun, that it has the water, that you're providing these things, right? Like that's how you lead, and then you set the example, you set the standard. I had no standards, dude. I didn't have any like I didn't have standards, any guidance. And this is where like the purpose thing that you're talking about, where the way I look at it is like when I was making my wife my purpose, right, or making her the center of my universe and all that, or the center of my world. What I mean by that is I didn't have any goals or any aspiration or any purpose that was outside of her, because this is what I've come to find. This is my experience. I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but my experience has been that when you as a leader have a worthy goal or an aspiration or some sort of purpose, mission, calling that is beyond you, it's greater than you, like what you're doing with this podcast and all that, and helping dads and all that you felt that calling, dude, your wife wants to be a part of that purpose. She doesn't want to be the purpose. She doesn't want to be the main, like that's too much responsibility, to be put on the pedestal of that and be like, okay, you're the one, right? Like, no, she wants to roll with you to help you achieve that purpose. Like you're giving the family a drive, a goal, something to achieve. And working together, you guys can get there, right? And like, dude, I couldn't do this podcast if my wife wasn't helping me right now, with like the kids and helping. She's down there with the baby right now, and she knew I was going to do the podcast, and she always like, cool, I got the kids all set. Like communication is tight, and she understands the mission. She understands what I'm doing. She understands everything. And she's backing me 100% because she knows that everything that I'm doing is not for me. It's not for the benefit of just G. It's for the benefit of our entire family. And she understands that. She knows that. She realizes that I don't have to prove that to her. She trusts that. And that's what I didn't have as a leader, right? So developing that as a leader, as a husband, that was key. And then as a father, man, I'll tell you this, I always wanted to be a dad, I always like, even as weird, right? Even as a teenager, I was like, man, like, I can't wait to be a dad. Like I always liked like hanging out with kids and, and babysitting and doing that, just playing and wrestling and doing those things. Right. I was always that kid that was like playing with the other kids, and all that. And the fun uncle, right? Like, and so, and I think a lot, as I look back, a lot of that was just because with my own biological dad, we had such a hard relationship that I kind of lacked the father, in the home. And so for me, I think I looked at it as like, man, I want my shot, like at being able to do this differently, and sure enough, that was my outlook at becoming a father. And so when we started talking about like, all right, cool, let's start a family. Like we got our marriage back. We're in a good place. Let's get going on trying to, start a family, dude. And we had a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble going through like infertility treatments and all this stuff. We were the only couple within our friend group that didn't have kids, so every time somebody needed a babysitter, they would just hit up G and CO and they'd be like, hey, can you guys watch the kids? And I was like, sure. Like all right. And more people would get like pregnant and, baby showers and all this stuff. And we're happy for them, of course. But, there's another part of us that are just like, man, like, when's it going to be us? Like that'd be cool if it could be us. And dude, so we go through an infertility treatment, finally have one land. 3 weeks into it, after we get the news and all that stuff, I get a phone call. I'm at work by my wife, and she just says that she's bleeding uncontrollably. She's like, I'm bleeding uncontrollably. I don't know what's going on. She's frantic. She's big. I'm like, all right, I'm getting out. Take her to the ER, and we lose the baby, man. And that's the first one. After like I think it was like 4 years or something like that of like trying to figure it out and trying to get things in. And so we're mortified by that news. Like it doesn't do anything. Like I know some married couples will go through that, and that kind of messes with the marriage a little bit. But for us, like we still very much stayed unified in that, and we were like, you know what? Let's just stop doing this infertility treatment stuff. Let's just stop. Like I'm done with like having to go dig tests and blood tests and all this stuff, and you like them being so invasive and all that stuff. I was like, let's just be a married couple. Let's just enjoy our marriage. You know what I mean? And just live our lives. And if God blesses us with a kid, then he wants it. And if it does, then it's not in our cards, man. And that's it. Like we'll just be the fun uncle and aunt, and that's how we'll live. Like it's cool, you know? Maybe we'll adopt at some point. And dude, a month later, our first. We get pregnant with our first. We get the news. She hits me with the news, and she's like, and that's Ethan. That's our 7-year-old right now.
Ethan.
Like
Dude.
Ethan. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, man. And ever since then, dude, like fatherhood has just opened up so many new doors of like growth and possibilities. Like, cause I learned so much from my kids.
That's the
Um,
truth. Yeah.
and then also in you pouring into them and giving them lessons and things that you've learned and all that, like it helps you grow, like it helps you grow as a man, which is crazy. And then I've also made a bunch of mistakes, you know, and that also helps you grow, learning, getting awareness around the mistakes and the times where you blow it as a dad, right? So yeah, man.
The theme in there that I reminds me of, I guess it was last month in the Apogee year two, living in the present moment and surrendering versus resignation. The Power of Now, if you know Eckhart Tolle's book, right?
Yes, yes, I remember
There's
that.
this
Yeah.
notion where a lot of people want to resign or quit something.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between surrendering and resignation. When you
Mm.
surrender, you allow all possibilities and you trust that you can solve it and you can put a little faith into the big man upstairs. And it almost sounds like somehow you and your wife were able to surrender in that moment. And that even I love that you had the relationship that you had so that it almost made you more convicted about each other. Like, well, we're in this together.
Yeah.
Versus as you're noting that sometimes that actually can be hard for
Cause
couples to go through
cause a
that.
divide for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Damn, what a beautiful thing. And then, you know, three more come down the pike, huh?
Yeah. We'll say the other three were planned.
Yeah,
just
right.
just
Okay.
ahead of plans, you know what I mean? Like they were just
Yeah.
a little early. Yeah.
And you got a fresh little nugget, 6 month old?
A 2-month old, bro.
2 month old.
Yeah. Yeah, Arya. Yeah, so we got two boys, two girls. Um yeah. Yeah, man. So Arya, yeah, she's our little 2-month old right now. That's down there with my wife right now.
And how's mama doing right now with you know?
She's good, man. She's trying to get sleep where she can get it right now.
Yeah.
But she's heavily nursing, and baby's like she's sleeping on her and on me, like, and that's the only place she wants to sleep right now. She doesn't want to sleep in her own little bassinet and stuff. So it's and this is our first that does that. Like
Mm.
all of our other ones have been usually pretty good about like, hey, we swaddle them and just put them in the bassinet, and they're chill. They'll go to sleep. This one, this little girl, she's running the household right now, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Captain, my captain. All right.
yes, sir.
So, dude, like I'm just thinking about you being such an intentional man these days in comparison to the youngster 20 year old G. Like,
Yeah.
what's your counsel to the new dads out there? How do we support our wives in those? And you've had, four efforts, right? Like, and
Yeah.
maybe some of those lessons where you did it wrong show up in this space. Like, being a great dad is one thing. Being a great husband to a new mama,
Yeah.
like, whoa, dude, that's probably 20 times harder than being a great dad.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on for our partners in that mix that we can appreciate conceptually, but we'll never, of course, we'll never experience it firsthand.
Yeah.
And so to be present and to be a leader in that dynamic, how does that look for you now that you've done four and you're in the throes of a 2 month old? What's
Yeah.
it look like to be a leader for your wife or with your wife?
That's a good question, man. Because yeah, I'm actually living that right now, and it's funny because even though we've had four at this point, like it's always like it always hits you like a ton of bricks because you're like, oh, we got this, and then it hits, and you're like, oh no, we don't got this. I forgot what we got to do here, and
Yeah.
how do you swaddle this baby again? Like everything becomes anew, and you got to relearn it. But with respect to how you support, man, the biggest kind of pieces of advice that I can give there is one, you have to think of it as like you're still a team, okay? Even though she's the one that's nursing, and she's kind of the lifeblood of the baby, right? Especially if she's nursing. Um like you got to be support. You got to be backup support and understand that if you have more kids, then you're taking care of the kids, responsibilities, chores, things around the house, laundry, whatever whatever you can help with without being asked, without being like you don't you should just be able to do it, and understand that she has that need, and cook her a meal, man. Like if you don't know how to cook, learn how to freaking cook. Like do something, make her breakfast or whatever. However you can support in those early days, especially in those first few months, like you just want to be that support system. Now, you have to be extremely selfless, okay? Because this is the thing that is hard, and it's still hard for me. Is that there's a making the baby amazing, right? Like fun times.
Not bad.
Um, yeah, yeah, fun times. A lot of intimacy, a lot of tries, all that stuff's great. Once the baby comes out, those first few months, you may not be intimate during that time. You may not be practicing that, you know. And for a lot of guys, that is very difficult. It's very difficult. It's difficult to go through that, and it becomes something where you get in your head like, man, does she still find me attractive? Like, does she still want me? Because she doesn't seem to want me whenever I try to initiate or something like that, because she's extremely tired. Nursing, if she's nursing, like that takes so much out of her, like energy wise, so much, man. Like, so you have to kind of check yourself a little bit on that, and it requires a lot of patience, and understanding that it is not necessarily you. There's nothing wrong with you as long as you're supporting her and you're backing her up and all that. Just ease your way back into that kind of conversation, man, and understand that you're still a team, and things are going to get better. Uh, as the baby gets older, you'll have that back and all that. But I just mentioned that because it's something that like it's real. Like it affects.
No doubt about
Um,
it.
it really really affects, man. And there's even cases where it doesn't end. Like your kid turns 2 years old, and then that's still there's still a schism or a divide there. And keep in mind, like a woman's body changes after birth. Like there's hormonal changes, depending on the age. Like there's a lot of biological things that are happening as well that you have to take into account, right? And how you approach that topic, you got to be kind of a little bit sensitive with it, depending on your wife. Again, you know your wife, and you know how you can communicate. Definitely recommend speaking kind of like the love languages as well, right? So if you're familiar with like the five love languages with, I think it's Gary Chapman is his name. Um, you guys can go, do the test. It's free. You find out what your love language is. You find out what her love language is. It's only five, and then you speak it, man. Like you literally you do what she wants in terms of what her love language is, and that's what you speak to her, right? So in my case, my wife, she's acts of service. Like, so for her, chores and things that I get done, like when I do those things without her even telling me or batting an eye on it, like it's just done. That fills her cup. She's like, man, okay, like he loves me because he just took care of that. Like, when she's got laundry piled up on the sofa and I just go and just start folding the laundry, putting it away and all that. Like, I don't tell her I'm gonna do it. I just do it, man. Like, just don't make it this big freaking, like, the guys are funny, man. They'll, like, did you see what I did? Did you see
Yeah.
that? Like, I fold, like I did the laundry, I did this, and they're trying to like check a list, right? And get all these check boxes, get these kudos so that you get this reward at the end of it. Like, dude, don't do that. That's not what it's about. Just do it. Just do it. She'll respond to it. Yeah.
It's kind of struck by remember when pops help you recalibrate and you realize I'm not going to tell her what I'm thinking or what I'm now committed to. I'm just going to behave differently.
Yeah.
And that's going to attract her to me.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, but one way or the other, everything will reconcile itself because I'm true to myself. Like I think, and I've only got one kid and he's now 2.5. So that's my experience firsthand with supporting my wife.
Yeah.
But to your point where the attraction can change, hormones change, bodies change, all that stuff. The last thing our spouses need is us harping on them. Why isn't it the way it was?
Yeah.
What they really need is to see that we're still in pursuit of our purpose, and yet simultaneously they're supporting them fully. I mean, my wife's a doula and a birth coach in addition to
Wow.
having
Okay.
a full-time
Yeah.
job. So this conversation and this topic is pretty front and center, and she's probably I would be interested to see what she'd say. But some things that I've heard her say that I think are worth throwing on the table here, like, dude, it's not exactly uh, possible in our culture to always do it this way, and different
Mhm.
families have different dynamics and different constraints and different even a vision for how the birth's going to go or how the experience is going to go. But imagine just in an ideal world, the only thing a mama of a 2-year old or a 2-month old should be
Yeah.
doing is being a mama of a 2-year old.
Mm.
A 2-month old. Gosh darn it. Two
Yeah.
2-month old. That like the only like
Yeah.
that should be it. And you got to keep in mind, especially breastfeeding, as you said, the calories that they're expelling, literal calories, not the ones they're burning and breathing out, just as, but like literally they're granting calories to this little beautiful human being.
Yeah, man.
I wish I had the stats down. My wife would be so proud if I knew the stats, but there's like the amount of calories a breastfeeding mama needs to ingest to then
Yeah.
support herself and then the baby is, it's like two,
Crazy.
three, 4 times what we're doing. So I think you said it, like solving for fueling mama is probably one of the most critical things.
Yeah.
And of course, that means cook some meals. And if you don't know how to cook, meal trains with your friends and family, your tribe,
Oh, yeah.
there's
Yeah.
ways to do that. You go and you spend all day Sunday making batch food, and then you've got it in the freezer. So you kind of want to simplify the act of fueling mama,
Yeah.
and then take everything off their plate except for being a great mama.
Mm-hmm.
On top of all
Yeah.
that, they're healing. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
so you know the rest factor and then the focus of just be a mama, nothing else. Granted, our culture wants mamas to get back into the workforce right away
Yeah.
and bounce back to pre-baby weight and physique and all these other pressures. So it's tough, but
Yeah.
I think that the role is just simplify the ability for mamas just to be mama. That's it, right? Um, and then you still have to maintain. It takes a lot out of us, I think, as dads, right, to do
Yeah.
that plus stay the course that we're on, or not neglect it at least, and show that because eventually mom's going to come back around and see. how you served her and led her and the family in, the early days of that new baby. And then she's like, that was so freaking sexy that, I couldn't, like, I wasn't in the right space to jump your bones then.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Right.
thinking back now, like, and it might take a year, it might take two
Yeah. Could.
years, take some time, but that's, that's the, God, man, that's so tough though. I can just imagine a lot of
It's
dads
tough,
not
man.
necessarily understanding what's going on. They don't understand, say, the physical hormonal situation, and then the
Yeah.
just the idea that we're a leader. That doesn't that is easy for you and I being in the realm of apogee, and you've got
Yeah.
alpha dad consulting, and I've got whoa dad go. I get that. I just don't know
Yeah.
if a lot of dads get that.
Yeah. It's a lot of responsibility, man. Like it's and and I think that's where the it becomes very important to have that conversation with her, right? Like as because especially, I mean, I remember, man, becoming a first time dad. Like you're so excited, you can't wait to see the baby. You can't wait to bring. You're scared at the same time. You're like terrified but excited at the same time. Like there's all these emotions, right? And you're so focused on the fact that the baby's coming, which is great. Like that's what you want to be focused on, but you don't realize like there's still a marriage that you guys have to foster, and that and that things are going to change a little bit. They're going to evolve, and not in a bad way. And you don't have to take it that way, right? And that's why I think the conversation's good, so that when that happens, you and your wife are actually on the same page and you understand, and there's that constant communication between both of you, where the expectations have been kind of set and you understand how things are going to be. I mean, you may not know what to expect, right? But at least you guys have talked about it leading up to it. And then when things come up, it's easier to have those conversations because you've already talked about it. You're already, yeah, I remember we were going to talk about this. Like, all right, cool. And then it gives you grounds to have a conversation around like, yo, can we make some time together, right? To go out, and I know we still have the baby. Maybe she can pump, right? And maybe have some extra milk or whatever. And you can help with the feeding, give her some rest. And like we do that, right? And that's how we kind of leverage and we make some time and we figure it out, but it takes that communication. It takes you guys talking about it and understanding again that you're both on the same team. Like it's not you and her against each other. It's not, you guys, you and the kids against her, or like there's no division. It's you guys working together to figure out, well, how do we solve for this, right? Like you were saying, right now solving for mama, getting the support she needs, but then, how do we solve for dad feeling connection again too, and having, intimacy and all that. But how do we do that in a way that fits with given everything that's going on, right? Like talk about it, and figure it out. And it may not be exactly how it was before, but you can modify it, you can change it, man. Like that's the beauty of this marriage game. Like you're gonna be in it for life. Like that's what it's about. It's meant to be forever. So yeah.
There's a couple implied topics or conversation pieces that we could have proactively before a child arrives. If I heard one, and I just want to throw it back to you here in a second, G. Like, if
Yeah.
there's two or three big things that you want to proactively connect on and communicate on, and not just cross fingers and hope and pray and let it all, hopefully work out. One of them is a question, just to put it on the table. Like, how are we going to maintain our connection after the baby comes? Like, what are the ways in which we can do that?
Yeah.
So like, and it's not how must we, it's how can we, how might
Yep.
we, right? So just
Yep.
kind of open the aperture up and let
So
both
it's like a
parties.
brainstorm session for both of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe that's how you position it. It's like, I know life's going to get crazy. Any new dads listening in, or soon to be dads, is like, life's going to get crazy, right? So
Hmm.
how do you have a proactive conversation? One of those things is, what's it going to look like for us to manage our connection and have some time together,
Yeah.
when that'll be few and far between. Those moments will be few and far between. What would you say would be like the one or two other key themes or topics worth rapping on with each other?
Man, connection's a big one, man. I would say also if you have other kids, because that's been the thing with us, is like how you're gonna manage that,
Mm.
you know. Um, just having that conversation be at the forefront is too is like, hey, baby's priority. Baby is priority for you, right? Other kids, I got them. When I'm there, I got them. You know, and I'll take care of them. So like having that expectation set, right? That's especially with us. I can speak to my experience because I work from home, so I'm here. So I get to be here and I'm around, right? And I can hear when things are going crazy, right? Like if the
Yeah, right.
toddlers, and so I can really quickly jump in and be like, all right, cool, let's, let me handle them. Baby's crying, go ahead, like go handle her. I got the kids. So, again, setting that expectation where we can have that conversation of like, all right, who's going to take the kids, who's going to handle the kids when things are, you know, uh, how you're going to give her some time for herself too. That's a big one, you know, because sometimes she may need that, being with the baby all the time and everything. And even though it's great cuddles and all that stuff, but sometimes she does miss a little bit of the adult conversations with some other people, like
Or no
so,
conversation with
or no
anybody.
conversations and anything, just zone out,
Yeah.
So that's also important, man.
Mm.
And then, yeah, I think the connection question that you had is a big one because that also will allow you to get creative about how you do it. Because me and my wife, man, like sometimes our connection, it's not necessarily like full on intimacy. It could be just we're just talking, in the bed while the baby's there, but baby's 2 months old. She don't really understand anything. So we're just having a conversation, having fun, like laughing, joking, and that's connection time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we went out to celebrate our 15-year wedding anniversary. We went to this fancy restaurant, like steak restaurant. Tried like dry aged steak and all that. Like it was awesome. Like it was a great experience. But we took Aria with us. Because she's nursing. So like it was fun. Like we had a blast. We talked and we had a good time. Um, and we connected, man. Like and we did that all with having a newborn. So like and three other kids. Like we had somebody else babysit. We had my brother who lives with us babysit the other three kids, and that's how we got it done. So again, the communication, the expectations, it's key, man. I think that's important.
I'm taking some notes, right? It's like
Yeah.
I kind of heard four distinct realms, which is how will we maintain and foster our connection? So that's one big question. The other one you're talking about managing the kiddos and whatnot. I feel like it almost is a little bit. You zoom out, it's like how are we going to manage the household? Because beforehand,
Yeah.
if it's just, especially imagine just to simplify it, it's just you and your partner, you and your spouse in a house. It's like maybe there isn't formal assignments. You just get stuff done. Well, then you add in a kid and then another, and then like now you kind of have your roles and your responsibilities to some degree. Like who's not, it doesn't have to be gender based stuff. And you just like, I'm going to tackle laundry all week this week, and you're going to tackle taking the dog shit or taking the trash out and picking up dog shit or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
like those things might get a little bit more formalized as you have a family and a household, but especially when mama is brand new uh, to things, it's like, well, how are we going to manage the household? That's going to fall on dad quite a bit, or dad has to solve for it at least
Yeah.
if you're not doing the actual work yourself. So, how will we manage the household and the family? What will mama need in terms of solo time or any special accommodations to recover and feel and be and maintain a sense of herself? Might be the
Hmm.
third bucket. And then the
Yeah.
last one was like, how is creativity going to serve us
Mm.
as we step into this new chapter? Where will we need to be creative or innovative or do things differently? It's like
Yeah.
those four questions. There's probably a bunch more worthy,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
but
But
there's
dude, that's
something
a
about
solid
those
start.
four. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
solid start. So
for sure.
I'm gonna take my own advice, and on our second lap, we'll be a little bit more intentional. We do have a good job or a good have a solid connection and we do a decent job communicating. But there are days where we just confided in each other last week. We're like, we're just kind of grinding right now. We're getting through every day.
Yeah.
And then like we're not, the day goes by and you're like, well, we got through it, but what was the point of it? Like we need to get clearer on our vision and our mission as a family unit. And each of us, like, there's some tension or angst in our rhythms that we want to sort out. So I think your point about being aligned and communicating well is so critical. It's
Yeah,
not going
it's
to happen
key,
on
man.
it. Not going to happen on its own. Okay,
No.
now, gee, I've been dying to get here, but I also getting to know you is so fun, right? It's like
Yeah.
I don't want to force the conversation, and all that was the lead up to what has really caught my attention about your style and your vibe and your character, your personality is that, and now knowing everything that I now know, it's like, man, this is so fun to see. I catch on Instagram you often sharing your passion and your skill. You have a knack for words and poetry and music, right? And
Yeah, thank you.
I suspect you've always admired, and I want to hear that, like the little bit of backstory. You've always been
Yeah.
musically inclined or struck by music, perhaps. Maybe you even did a little bit of, music production and rapping early on in your life or something. But these days, you have sorted out your world, reconciled who you are to the degree that you're producing music with a bit of a fatherhood vibe to it, leadership vibes to it, right? There's a playfulness there. And at the ripe age of 38,
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
producing music and putting it out into the world. And I just think there's something so, despite having 4 kids and a wife and a job and a business, it's like, I'll do that later. Or that ship has sailed. Like there could be so many excuses or obstacles to doing this. And yet here you are being a creative son of a gun. And I want to hear maybe how you got here and like why is music so powerful and how does it fit into your role as a leader in the family or as a father figure? What's the meaning behind what you're up to and maybe some of your inspirations
Yeah.
behind
Yeah,
it?
man, absolutely. No, thank you for that, man. Dude, yeah, all those excuses you were talking about, I know them well because I've been excusing that for quite some time. But yeah, man, when I was 14 years old, I think I was 13, 14 years old, we were, yeah, I was heavily involved in a church back then, Christian church, and we're wrapping up this youth service, with the youth and all that. And my boy Pablo, longtime friend of mine, he got invited. He's like, dude, I got invited to this. Is called a Christian underground hip hop concert. Okay,
Hmm. Okay.
and this was like in downtown LA. He's like, I'm like, what is that? you know, and he's like, I don't know, bro, but I'm gonna go check this out. And I'm like, can I roll with you? He's like, I think it's like $10 to get in. I got $10. Can we go? So at 14, I'm rolling with him. It's a Friday night, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And we go to this downtown LA, like it's in the hood, man. Like it's deep in the hood. And we roll up. There's like cars parked everywhere. You could hear music blasting from this like small little venue, right? And we're walking up to the door. There's a big security guard. They pat us down, let us in, and this and that. And we walk in, and it's like straight up 8 Mile, bro. Like everybody's in there, and they're like doing the thing, and like everybody's like squashed in like sardines. Like speakers are booming, and then people are rapping on the stage, right? Like there's all these artists, and dude, I'm like, what is this? Like this is amazing, you know. And we're there till like the concert ended like at 2:30 in the morning or something crazy. And I go home that night and I'm just like inspired by this art. Like cuz these guys were just spitting bars and like, rapping. There was battle raps at the end too. As the first time I ever saw battle raps like live,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother deal. And
Yeah.
I was blown away, man. I was inspired. So I went home and I had this if you're familiar with like the genre reggaeton, like the reggaeton genre, it's like a Spanish genre. and there was a CD that somebody had landed me, and on that CD there was a 2-minute instrumental that was just music, right? And it was a beat. And I wrote my first rap to that beat. I just kept looping it back and forth on my old like Walkman CD player thing, you know what I mean? And that's and then I remember my cousin came over to the house, picked me up to go somewhere, and he brought his girlfriend over, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, we left his girlfriend in the living room." And I'm like, "Hey, come here, dude, come here real quick. Let me show you this." He's like, "What are you doing? Like, what is this?" Yeah. So I play the beat for him, I rap it for him, and he's like, "Yo, where did this come from?" And I'm like, "I don't know, bro, but I went to this concert. And I'm like, I'm inspired. I feel like I want to rap. I want to do this. Like, what do you think? Do you think it was good?" He's like, "Dude, yes, it was good. Let me." He went to go get his girlfriend, and he's like, "Hey, do it again." You know what I mean? And so I spit the verse again for him and his girlfriend. And dude, that was the inception of it. And we, little by little, I get my boy Pablo to rap as well, and we start doing kind of our own thing. Word gets out to different churches and different youth groups and stuff like that. And there's another group of guys that are rap too, and they're starting their own little kind of Christian hip hop group. And they hit us up and they're like, "Hey man, you want to let's do something together? Like let's do something." Dude, so we formed this band called Methodical Elements, and 9 people deep, full blown like instruments behind, like bass player, guitar player, violinist, keyboardist. Like it was a live band.
Wow.
And me and this other dude, we were emceeing, and we were like the rappers, you know. So, and I'm writing hooks for the songs, and I'm coming up with song concepts, and I'm like, we're writing my own verses, and little by little, man, it grows into this thing where we literally travel all over like LA, like Southern Cali. We went up to Northern Cali, I think, a couple times, but all over Cali, where yeah, they did it for like 10 years, man. Like, it was like
Oh,
from like the 14 to like 23, 24, something like that. Like that's yeah, like almost 10 years. So it was awesome, and it helped me grow in ways that man, like you can't imagine. Like I had to grow up pretty quickly. I got to see a lot of different things, got to meet a lot of different people. Um, and it just helped me. It'll help me mold me into kind of the man that I was becoming. But as I got married, and as everybody kind of split up and went their own ways and got married, like the band kind of broke up. We and I just sort of put it to the side, and I said to myself, I'm like, well, you know what? Like, all right, like that's that was a childish thing, is what I thought in my head. Like I'm done, like it's fine. Like we're not doing this anymore. It was fun while it lasted, and that's it. That was my ride. And but I always had this itch, man, like where I was like, man, I always I want to do music again and all that. But I didn't have a band. I didn't really have any production knowledge or anything like that. I just knew how to rap, and I knew how to write songs and all that was it. Like, but I needed somebody to produce a beat and all that. I didn't have those skills. So little by little, I'm working for Apple. I'm learning music production a little bit. I'm jumping in now. I'm teaching music production at Apple and doing all this stuff. But still, now I'm not rapping as much anymore, and just time goes on. I deal with that with my wife. We go through that turmoil, all that stuff, man. And fast forward to now, or to a few years ago, now we have kids. Ethan is the first one that starts displaying this. He's my 7-year-old, but at the time, I think he was like 4 or 3, and I'm showing him some of my old stuff, old tracks that we had recorded, and I'm like freestyling and like doing. I'm not a good freestyler, but I'm just messing around, doing raps or whatever, like with him, and he's just vibing out. And then I start showing him some tracks, and he's picking up melodies, rapping the words. I'm like, dude, like you're 4, like you're 4 or 5 years old. Like, like this is crazy, And he's like he hears songs, and he can hum the melody, and like hold the tone. He's like singing to the choruses to these songs, and he's like musically inclined. I was, ooh, this is crazy,
yeah.
So that's like the first kind of like hit. I would say like that's the first knock God gave me when he's like, "Hey, check out your son."
Yeah, dude.
I'm
That's
like, "All
gotta
right,
feel
cool."
good too. That's gotta
It
feel
felt great. Yeah, it felt
see
great, man.
to
Yeah.
realize that, and it could have been sports, it could have been,
Hmm.
there's probably a lot more to realize too out of him, but like that thing correlated to your passion, like, oh damn,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
fun.
dude.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
then
So
that kind of like that gets things moving For
That
you,
get
Paul.
that gets things moving, man. And so fast forward, I join Apogee, right? Um, Matt Beaudreau's out here in Texas. He comes out, visits out here, and we meet him at like a barbecue joint. First time I get to meet him in person, we're talking and this and that. And I'm like, dude, hey man, I know we got that reunion, that Apogee reunion coming up at the end of the year. Do you mind if I do like a spoken word to it? He's like, well, like you can rap. He's like, I was like, yeah, I can. I used to rap and I used to do it. And I like doing spoken words and all. I used to do those a lot. I'm like, I'd really like to honor the Apogee guys by doing a spoken word at the end of the reunion. If you're cool with it, like, if you need slots filled or whatever, I'd love to do something, And he's like, yeah, man, I'm down. Let's do it. So he's like, he just gives me the go, like, yeah, write something, let me know. And fast forward a couple months, I write my first spoken word in a long time called Apogee Strongman. And I send it to Matt. Matt replies back. He's like, dude, he's like, are you kidding me, bro? He's like, when you said you were going to do like poetry or spoken word, like, I didn't know you were going to do that. He's like, this is awesome. Like, yes, please do this, So, come reunion time, I get to perform that in front, my brother Brian Hunt, he did a song. He did it like kind of like a country version song, singer-songwriter song. Really, really good. And then I followed up right after him and I recited that spoken word, man. And that was my first kind of like resurgence back to like, whoa, like this is awesome, like I missed this. And and getting feedback from the guys that were there as they're coming up to me after, like, dude, you gave me goosebumps when you said this word, or you said you were talking about this thing in the spoken word. And I'm like, that's awesome, bro. Like, I didn't know, like, I'm glad, like, I'm so happy and grateful that it blessed you. And that starts it again. That's like another domino, right? That gets pushed off. And then we go year 2 Apogee. And I don't think you're at this, so I hate to spoil this for you, but there's like a creative month that comes about when you tap into creativity, which is kind of the topic we're talking about right now. And so for that month, we had to create a song, right? Like we had to write a song and all that. And that was one of the challenges. So I wrote like 3, you know what I mean? Like I got a couple beats and I was like feeling, and I wrote them like in a weekend, bro. Like I was like really, really in it, And again, I start showing my kids. I send the songs to, like, they're all badly mixed. They don't sound good or anything, but it's just rough demos, right? I send them to Matt. He's like, dude, this is awesome. Like, and then he allows me to perform again at the second reunion. And on that one, I actually had my kids go on stage, like all 3 of my, at the time, 3 that we had, before Arya. So it was Eli, Mia, and Ethan, and they're all on the stage with me, and they're all rapping the songs along with me. Like it was the best freaking thing ever, dude. Like it was so cool. And and I'm getting all the Apogee peeps in like the little barn house at the Kalahari Resort. Like they're all like, it was like full circle moment with the with the hip hop concert that I went to as a young man, right? So that was another domino where I was like, oh man, this is. And then I get off the stage on that day, and or actually later on, Matt tells me that same night, he's like, dude, this is what you should be doing, bro. He's like, this is what you should be doing. Like, you should be doing this, like, I know you did this performance, like, as like a, just for Apogee or whatever, but you should be doing, like, these music should be out type of thing. Man, you're right. Like, yeah. But the final straw, bro, was my son, my son, Ethan. He calls me out. He's like, he's hearing this stuff. He's hearing these demos. He's hearing the songs. And he's like, Dad, like, how come you just don't make music anymore? Like, how come you don't do this anymore? Like, how come I can't find you when he goes to like Apple Music or Spotify or whatever? How come I can't find you on there? Right? Like, how come there's nothing there for you? And I'm like, you're right. He's like, you're right. Why don't I do it? And that started it, bro. And last year, at the start of last year, my CDA, if you're familiar with that, like the Chief Definite Aim, like 1 big goal you have for the year, was to create a 10-track album. That was what I had in mind. Like I was like, all right, I'm gonna do a 10-track album, and I was going towards that. And I released I released 4 singles by the end of the year, 2 songs and 2 spoken words. That was kind of like my entry point at that. But by the end of the year, even though I had not released the 10-track album, I had about 22 songs like written, and I had bought a bunch of beats. Like I had learned a little bit more about the music industry. I had
Sure.
made these all these different connections, bro, with like producers and mixing engineers, and all through like Instagram and jumping on show, like using this skill of what, kind of how you and I interact, like through IG. And you asked me to come on the podcast, and I've done the same thing with other guests, and I know that game, and that's a skill, right? Reaching out to somebody and asking them to come on your show.
Yeah, good
It's the
call.
same. Yeah, it's the same skill that I had to use to connect with producers and mixing engineers, and to get kind of like where I was making all these excuses. I don't have a team. I don't know who produces. I don't know how to get beats. I don't know the music industry. I don't know how to release. Dude, I just stopped making excuses and just started connecting, figuring out how to expand the network. And I went on like review shows with some of my songs, and got some of them like butchered me and gave me some really constructive criticism. And some of the guys were like, super like, good feedback, and like they gave me props for the songs. And dude, and it's just been this journey, bro, of like rediscovering this creative side of me. And it's something now that, I look at, you and I were talking about this earlier, but as dads, we want our kids to live to their fullest potential. We want to provide for them enough so that they could achieve their dreams and be in a good position to achieve their dreams. But man, dude, you can shout that from the rooftops all day long. They may or may not do it. You know what they will do? What they see you do. Like more is caught than taught, right? Like, so if they see you going after it, and they see you going after your dreams and your goals and your aspirations, then naturally they're going to want to do the same thing. They're it's just going to it's you're just setting the standard,
Exactly, dude.
and they're watching you do it. They're watching you live. So me, that's kind of the decision I made, bro, the commitment. And then and I'm sticking through to that, man. And it's been so fun because I can't use any other word. It's been fun, like to just, because my kids are like rapping my songs, bro, and like they know every word, and like
Amazing.
they're the ones that hear the song. Like today, I wrote a new song today, and they were the first ones to hear it. My wife and my kids, and they were already like singing the hook. You know what I mean? Like they were all like, after hearing it one time, they were already like on the hook.
That'd be so
And
fun, man.
yeah, dude, it's like it's the best. It's the best.
I was thinking,
Yeah.
not knowing your kiddo firsthand, but if he wasn't musically inclined, but actually it's his interest in music that was one of the knocks for you.
Yeah.
So thank goodness he's musically inclined and has that. Uh, he helped you relight your fire for it.
Very much
But
so.
even if he wasn't musically inclined, for your kids to see you pursue your own passion and interest,
Yeah.
it just, even if it's not the same as theirs, there's something about watching our father and our mother live or pursue, I guess, yeah, pursue their potential, to pursue
Mhm.
something that they're passionate about. Like, how many parents out there, and there's so many excuses. There's so many real obstacles. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but they quit on being, pursuing their interests, even if it's just hobbies. It's like, well, I don't have
Yeah.
time for that. Someday, maybe one day. And the apathy, the resentment you probably end up holding, like,
Mm.
your kids are going to see that.
Oh, for
They're
sure.
also
Yep.
going to see, if even if you're not, like, I would not be good. Uh, I would not be a good rapper, but I would probably, if I could, if they saw me having fun, even if I'm not good at something, they saw me, refining my ways, getting better a little bit here, like challenging myself, just that as a worthy thing to emulate.
Yeah.
Bam. And now here you are, though, actually doing something you've got a craft at, your kids love, your family's, enrolled in the whole process. That's really special, man.
Thank you, man.
And
Yeah.
I just love that you there's something about this. It's never too late to be a great dad. It's never too late to be a leader to your family. It's never too late to pursue your passions and your creativity. Like, fill in the blank. It's never too late. And here you are, with 4 kids and a wife and multiple professional endeavors, going for it, brother. I mean,
Thank you, man.
that's frankly what I gather
Mm.
this thing happening for you through Instagram and a few conversations with the group gatherings. I'm like, damn, look at G, like, just maybe not reinventing yourself, but fully unleashing yourself. How awesome is that?
Yeah,
So
thank you, man.
props, man. Props.
Thank you for that, brother. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Like it's been nothing short of crazy for me, like to experience that and just yeah, dude, with every new song or everything that I'm tackling, every new release, I'm just blown away by the blessings and the doors that keep opening up. That it's just and what's funny about I'll say I have a song tomorrow that's dropping called Enemy Lines. But then next Friday I have another one called God's Timing that's dropping, and this is what it makes me think of: is God's timing is like, you there was a time 10 years ago or so where I wanted to do this, but I wasn't ready. Like I wasn't really ready in my head, in my mind, where I was growth wise and all that. Even though things had gotten better with my marriage and all that, there's still a lot of growth that I had to go through, man. And so now, yes, being 38, being like, almost 40 essentially, and like, having starting, entering the rap game, right? Or like the rap career at this late with 4 kids in tow and a wife and all that. Like it seems crazy, right? Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm like, man, no, like it doesn't. It doesn't seem crazy. Like it's I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna give it a shot. And if at the end of the day, like my kids and my family are like the only ones that are listening to my music, bro, like then so be it. At the very least, my son can go into Spotify or Apple Music right now and actually find a track that I made. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right.
and that in and of itself. And then the last one he was on that track with me.
That's awesome.
The song called Superhero. Like he actually rapped on that for the first.
That's right. I saw
Like
that one.
that's
Yes.
yeah, dude. So that was a full circle moment for me. You know what I mean? Like that's and all my kids except for Aria because she's too low. She's not speaking yet.
Right.
But the other two were in that song
Get
too.
some,
Like
get
they
some
have like
sound
little,
bites. Just get
they
a
have
little
some sound bites.
ooh and a
Yeah,
car,
yeah,
man.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah, dude.
Tell
So
me
it's
this, man.
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
how easy would it have been
Mm.
to go another 10 years, and then another
Dude.
10 years,
Yeah.
and then another 10 years, and eventually, into the ether of life and not take this path? How easy would that have been?
It's easy. Like just dive into your work or your career or whatever, or the monotony of life, right? Like the everyday grind that you're in. Don't step out of it. Just stay in it. That's how easy. But it's dude, and that's where I think a lot of family men right now are kind of suffering from that, from that lack of purpose, lack of creativity, where maybe they're killing the provider game, right? Like they're providing for the family, the income's good, all that. Um, but they're still like, and maybe even the marriage is dialed in. You know what I mean? Enough to where like, you guys they're not splitting up or anything. It's just, little things fine tune here and there, but they're good. Kids are good, but there's something still missing. They're not creating, they're not leveraging this creativity or this creative part of us. Like I think about something profound that I heard about, like the first verse in the Bible, right? Like in the beginning God created the heavens, and the earth, right? And all that, like, and so like the very first thing that God tells us about himself is that he's creative.
Mm.
right? Like that's the very first thing in the Bible that God reveals about himself, that he is a creative being,
Mm.
right? And if we're
Cool.
made in his image, yo, like we got to create, and I'm not saying everybody has to like create music or whatever. We're all creating something different, but we create, like sometimes it's creating an experience for your kids. It's creating an experience for your family. Like there's creative solutions, right, that we come up with for things. There's guys that are a little bit more on the artist side, and that maybe they are producers or like instrumentalists, right, musicians, rappers, singers, whatever it is. And then there's guys that are more like handymen that are like they can build you a freaking house. They know how to build, they know how to do carpentry, they know how to do plumbing work, they know how to do all these things, they know how to fix HVAC systems and set up all these intricate things. Like there's so many skills and trades and things like that, and there's creativity involved in all of that. And I think that us as men, we need to tap into that as well. you know yeah.
I was just thinking it might not even be it's creativity, but it's also like,
Maybe a creative outlet or something.
well, I'm thinking of my father.
Yeah.
My dad at age
Mm.
50 ran his first marathon.
Oh
And
wow,
so
okay, yeah.
and I was, let me do the math real quick. I would have been, yeah, like 22 years old. So here I
Okay,
am as
yeah.
a 22-year-old dude going, my dad is running a marathon for, it's like he was a runner, as an
Yeah.
active, healthy guy. He's like, but to think of my dad as a marathoner, like, no, he reinvented himself, or he
Mm.
realized his full potential,
Yeah.
and then he went on to run like three or four more freaking marathons in his 50s up
Crazy.
until, I'm like, so to showcase to our kiddos. So it's twofold. One, you just got, there's certain things I bet as a listener to this, you're going, well, I'm not producing music, I'm not running a marathon, but I've been thinking, I've been talking in my own, I've been telling myself I'm going to build that cabin in the woods
Yeah.
forever, or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Whatever it is.
Whatever that big thing is, our kids need to see. We need to do big things to, like almost spiritually, I would say, and our kids need to see us pursue and achieve big things.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
there's so much value we can't even put our finger on. As you said, all these, you're actually doing the thing, and now you're reaping all these rewards, and all these new connections are showing up, and
Mm.
you're getting the hang of it. And it just seems natural now, right? There
Yeah,
could have
man.
been
Yeah.
so many excuses to just say, when all the kids are finally in middle school or beyond, then I'll go do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's so easy to do, man. It's so easy to say, and there's so many guys that are living that right now, which sucks, dude, because there's so much potential, so much untapped potential there. If they just did it, and it don't get me wrong, man, don't get me, it's uncomfortable, it's super uncomfortable, but that's where the growth lies. That's really where the growth lies, man. Like you it was very uncomfortable to submit my first song to get it reviewed by some producer or like, you know, rapper that is way more experienced than I am, right? And has a following and to get it butchered. You know what I mean? Like to get it knocked and say like, "Oh, this sucked here. I don't like your voice here," and this and that. I was like, "All right, cool, man. Like that's awesome."
okay,
Like, but and then there's another one that'll hear that same song and be like, "Dude, this is awesome. Like I like this." So it's like subjective, right? But either way, it's very intimidating to put your art out there and to have people vibe with it or not, right? Or reject it or not. And like, but that's the thing. That's the risk. That's what it takes. Like, and being like, I mean, you release podcast episodes and videos and all like on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for a little while now. I get negative comments all the time, and like haters on the internet, trolls. Who knows if they're even real people,
yeah, dude.
But yeah, dude. Like, there's always that, But I've just kind of I've learned to not let that be the obstacle, you know, because it's not worth it, man. Like some random dude on the internet that says something about your song or whatever you're creating, whatever, dude. Like there's gonna be a bunch of other people that are really gonna enjoy it, and even if it's just your family, like It's worth it, dude. Worth
Yeah.
it.
There's something that just kept striking me as you were saying that. It's like, no matter what it is, for your kids, for our kids to see us do the inconceivable.
Mm-hmm.
There's something. So whatever dad is listening, or maybe a mom's listening, you're like, whatever might feel inconceivable,
Yeah.
going for that is actually, there might be some costs, some like reputation or people trashing you, or just it's just uncomfortable to get going.
Yeah.
But the actual benefit for our kids to see us do the inconceivable, something that'll be, that's a lasting impression, man. That's like, that formulates something deep inside our kiddos, that I'm just excited that your little nuggets get to see you be who you really are, and like wield this amazing craft and not hold it back and not come up with excuses. It's pretty special. And I get to
Thank you,
witness
brother.
it as a, as a brother of yours, and see it from afar and
Sure.
doing your thing. And I'm just like, my man, you're
Thank you,
you're,
brother.
you're setting such a good example. And it prompted, finally I was like, I got to get G on, have a conversation with you. And
That's
it
awesome,
prompted,
man.
it prompted this very conversation. So, G, it's late at night. We spent a lot of time together. I just want to say thank you for pouring your heart out and confiding in me and our listeners, and sharing the raw version of your life. And there's so much wisdom and lesson in there that I know, I took a number of things away, and it was special to hear about it all. So thank you, sir, for your time and your commitment to the role, the ultimate role of fatherhood. Eh?
Brother, appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Truly an honor, and like a privilege to be able to come up here. And yeah, it's been a while since I've been dumping into music. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So this is perfect timing, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Stuff. I'm going to share it in the show notes, but where do we find your music?
Yeah, man. So, fastest way, G Vidal Music. That's the Instagram handle. So G Vidal Music, you find me there, and that'll point you to any of the music I got out. But if you just look for G Vidal, my first initial G and then dot Vidal, my last name, that will take you to any of the songs and singles that are released. And yeah, man, got a lot of stuff coming out this year that I'm really really excited about, and a potential album later this year as well. So I'm working on that as well. But yeah, that. And then on the family side, man, Alpha Dad Consulting. If you guys look that up on YouTube, Alpha Dad Consulting, that will take you to my channel, my podcast, and the stuff that I got going on there. That stuff is there's a lot of revamp going on that side, because I'm trying to get some stuff dialed in to really bring a lot of value to the marriage side of things, as you heard me talk about today. So I'm going to be heavily focusing on that as we progress forward to this year. So stay tuned for that. If you guys are checking out some of that, subscribe and follow. That would be greatly appreciated.
And I'm going to listen to a few songs before I call it a night. But, G, thanks so much. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, brother.
See you, man.
Later, man.
There you have it. I believe the world is calling on us as fathers to step up and be stewards and shepherds of those around us. The times are interesting, and they are demanding more out of us than perhaps we once realized. It's because of that I want to celebrate and honor the ultimate role of fatherhood and set up dads for maximum impact. So thanks for being here. Don't forget to subscribe so you can catch the coming episodes. And above all, share this episode with a father you admire. See you on the next one.
Go there, here we go now. Oh yeah, the ultimate role.